All right. Our task today is to find the optimal Cournot quantities for firms 1 and 2, the optimal price, and the optimal profits for firms 1 and 2. So these are the Cournot calculations. Let's assume first that we have this inverse demand curve, P equals A minus BQ, and quantity for firm 1 Q1 and for firm 2 Q2, the sum of those will be the total quantity. From here, we can substitute this sum of the little q's into the inverse demand curve to get the inverse demand curve where we have little q1 and little q2 in there. Okay. From this inverse demand curve, we can find the marginal revenue by using the two facts we know about marginal revenue. Hopefully you are up to date on your Cournot and all that to understand what is happening here. But other than that, I'm happy to post another video explaining some of those basic things, right? Okay, so the marginal revenue for firm 1, well, the marginal revenue will have the same intercept as the inverse demand curve, but will have double the slope for wherever you have Q1, right? For the coefficient on Q2, we do not do anything to it. Now, the marginal revenue for firm 2 will be a similar idea, the same intercept as the inverse demand curve, but double the slope on Q2. Do you see that? So we will double the slope on Q2. Okay, from here to find the optimal quantities and the optimal price and all that, we have to set marginal revenue equals marginal cost. So say first, let's assume that both firms have the same marginal cost. So MC equals C here. Now, we first set marginal revenue for firm 1 equals that marginal cost to get Q1. Okay, we set that equals C. We migrate the negative 2BQ1 across the equal sign, and we migrate the C that other way so that we have this here, and we divide through by 2B to get Q1 to stand on its own. That way, we have this equation for Q1. In the same spirit, we repeat the same procedure for Q2 in the sense that we set marginal revenue for firm 2 equals C to get Q2 as a function of all the other parameters in Q1, right? So we migrate this C across and we migrate minus 2B Q2 across that equal to sign and then divide through by 2B to get Q2 to stand on its own. That way, we can write Q2 this way. You now have Q1 equals that and Q2 equals that. Two equations with two unknowns. Now, in Cournot, the firms set quantity simultaneously, so we can substitute one into the other and get Q1 and Q2. So here is the long way of doing that. There is a short way, and I may make a separate video. It's really straightforward to explain that to you. Now, say I substitute, let me cover this part up for now. Say I substitute into Q2, Q1, right? So this was the Q2 equation. See, it had Q1 over 2, right? So I substitute whatever I have for Q1 here in there, and I wrote it this way. So let's cover this bottom stuff for now and just focus on here. It's just neater to write it this way and then follow up with the calculations. So here is what I did next, right? That's that 1/2 times that 2B, right? That's how I got that 4B over there. Now with this negative sign, I didn't do anything to that because you can think of it this way, right? And it should be fine. But with that negative sign, negative half times negative q2 over 2, that I get positive q2 over 4. Now you see, I can migrate this plus q2 over 4 across the equal sign to that q2 so that I group like terms together, and then I can get this. Now, this is a little trick that I pulled. So what I did is I factored out a over c, a minus c over 2b. I factored that out and got this 1 minus 1/2, right? So if I multiply this a minus c over 2b by 1, I get that. And if I multiply a minus c over 2b times negative half, I get negative a minus c over 4b. Do you see that? Okay, if you do not see it, please pause the video and stare at it a little bit more to see how I got that. Okay, so the next step, oh, by the way, on this end, right, you have q2 minus q2 over 4. Well, you can just multiply and divide by 4 here. I mean, this is going to be 1, so we haven't really done anything to q2, but it allows us to see how this whole thing becomes 3q2 over 4. You see there? Good. Okay, and then from here, I have a half in here. Multiply that by the denominator 2b. I have a minus c over 4b. Okay, so now let's move to that part on the end. Focusing on just this last bit, right? Let's cover that up. Focusing on just this last bit, I have that q2 equals a minus c over 4b. Now I have to, remember this was 3 over 4, right? So what I did was multiply that 3 over 4 by 4 over 3. That way they can all cancel out, and do the same across the equal sign so that I have this 4 canceled that denominator, and so I can have q star 2 or q2 star equals a minus c over 3b. So from here, it's better for you to see all of it together and see what I have done, right? So we moved from here to there. Well, this is equal to that, and to get that q2 on its own, I multiply this side by 4 over 3, which is what I tried to do there, right? And that's the answer for q2 star. Now, to get q1, I just plug what I have for q2 into that equation earlier on we got for q1. Do you see that q2? I just plugged that answer in there, and I work my way through to get it to a minus c over 2b minus a minus c over 6b, multiplying this 2 by that 3b, and I got 6b. Good. To finish that off and to get my answer for q1, the answer for q1 is going to be the same as the answer for q2. Right, so it shouldn't be surprising that you get that answer just looking back at what that Cournot firm, the Cournot or the theory on Cournot is. Okay, so this is what I have for Q1. So we have found our optimal Cournot quantities for firms 1 and 2, and from here on we are going to find that optimal price. Remember that big Q was the sum of the little q's. So if I just sum up the answers that I got for Q1 and Q2, well, I'm going to get 2a minus c over 3b. Okay, I plug that into the price, into the inverse demand curve to get what price is. So I plug that into here. As you can see I'm doing, I'll cover this up for a bit. And I work my way down. So from here, I have P equals A minus 2A minus C over 3. Remember, that B cancels that B, right? And so that's why it's no longer there. Now from here, well, I can pull that little trick again, divide and multiply by 3, right? That way I can get common denominators here. So this is how I got that 3a minus 2a plus 2c over 3. And the final answer is a plus 2c over 3 for optimal price. From here, I'm ready to get my optimal profit. Optimal profit will be price minus C, the marginal cost, times Q1. So I'm just plugging things in now. I plug in my optimal price minus C times the optimal Cournot quantity for firm 1. Really, this is just the optimal profit for firm 1. Okay, from here, I make a common denominator here for C by multiplying and dividing by 3 to get common denominators. Do you see that? Okay, so I can pull these together and subtract 3c from 2c to get a minus c. Now, a way to make this look neat, right? A way to make this look neat. Take a look at this. This is all of this times a minus c over 3b. I can pull this b out to multiply this whole thing by 1 over b, right? And so that's what I did. I pulled that 1 over b out. That way, the final answer is a bit neater, right? It's a minus c from here over 3 times a minus c, so that will be squared as you're thinking, yes. And that's how I wrote it. So this is much neater. Now, the optimal profit for the second firm or for firm 2 is going to be similar. And I will leave you to work through that to see how that is. Now, you have to go back to this part and just do pi 2, right? Optimal profit for firm 2 equals P minus C times Q2. And so see that Q2, it will be the same as this one. And so your answer should be that. I hope this helps you.